Howdy, folks. I'm a gargantuan green grapevine grasping Grecian geese.
I'm Amber.
And here's some more Grecian geese for us to grasp, or Grecian grease, as I like to say. Alright, folks, our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Being Indecently Exposed While Feeding My Baby? I'm a 28-year-old female. Recently had mine and my husband's, a 32-year-old male's, first child, a little boy who is now 5 months old. Our baby is amazing, and we love him so much. After the birth, we only allowed our parents and siblings to see the baby so that we could have some time to settle into our new lives. We didn't want to be overrun with visitors, but decided to host a barbecue this weekend so some more extended family and friends could meet the baby. It went really well, and everyone was so over the moon to see the little one. I would like to clarify that this wasn't a huge gathering, maybe like 10 people or so. At one point in time, I took the baby inside for his lunch. I'm nursing him at the moment, so I went into his nursery so that we could have some privacy. As most people were in the backyard, I thought that this would be a quiet spot for the two of us. Unbeknownst to me, my best friend, a 27-year-old female's husband, a 29-year-old male, needed to use the bathroom at some point and came into the house. I think that he was having a bit of a snoop around because he ended up opening the door to the nursery where I was with the baby, which is nowhere near the bathroom, and inevitably found us. He was quite shocked and fumbled for his words a little bit before closing the door and leaving. I was not very happy that this had happened because I had specifically gone looking for a quiet moment so the baby could eat, but it is what it is, I thought, and now it was over. Well, when I walked out of the house a little while later, I was surprised to see that my best friend and her husband had left. My husband tells me that when the best friend's husband came out of the house, he immediately reprimanded my husband for the fact that I was exposing myself and acting inappropriate in front of guests. Of course, my husband was very confused by what was going on, but best friend's husband basically just grabbed my friend and the two of them left, leaving everyone else quite stunned. A few hours later, after everyone had gone home, best friend husband started a group chat with myself, my husband, and my best friend, and basically said that he could not believe how I exposed myself to him when I knew that he was happily married, and that I should have more shame. He said that I was not setting a good example for my son, who would grow up as some kind of deviant because I'm refusing to feed him in a normal and healthy way. I'm honestly quite upset about the whole thing, and no one has responded. My best friend has not even opened any of the other messages. But I wonder if maybe I should have just gone with a bottle feeding during the event so that this never happened. My husband thinks that the best friend's husband has lost his mind, but I wonder, am I the jerk? Alright, folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk, or is the best friend's husband needing to take a long hike?
Yeah, definitely not the jerk here, OP. You would not have been the jerk had you publicly breastfed your child because you are feeding your child. But the audacity of this man to go snooping around your house, like even if it was on accident, you open the door, you see someone undressed, you go, oops, sorry, and you back out, and it's on you because you opened that door. Like, you were in the child's nursery, feeding your child, you were expecting privacy, he invades your privacy, and then is like, psh, how dare you breastfeed your child? You should be bottle feeding because people might be walking around your house.
Yeah, I would just like to point out that the function of breasts are specifically for feeding babies. That's what it boils down to. What he's done here is completely inappropriate and out of line. One, he was snooping. Two, you weren't acting indecent, right? This was not a matter of indecency. This is a matter of survival for your child.
Right, and even if you'd been getting changed or dancing naked in your room or something, like, that's still within your rights in your own home to do.
Yeah. So I don't think that OP's in the wrong at all here. I think that this guy really needs a reality check, and I hope that his wife gives him a stern talking to.
Hopefully, and you may want to be on the ready in case he starts, like, with your side of the story, in case he starts trying to spread rumors that you're indecently flashing married men and trying to seduce them.
Yeah. And just so ridiculous. I mean, I'm sure this guy throws a big complaint about the scantily clad models on television. I'm married, TV. Why are you advertising this to me? So, again, it's just absolutely absurd. It's ridiculous. So let me know what you folks think. Anyhow, take care and good luck. And Unhappy Somewhere 545 says, not the jerk. It's completely unnecessary for him to venture around the house to begin with. It seems like he had a guilty conscience and told his wife a version of the story to cover his own butt. If they do not respect your privacy in your own home, good riddance. Futurebred 7179 says his version of the story. I was making my way directly to the bathroom when your friend jumped out in front of me topless, jiggling her breasts seductively. And OP replies, this made me laugh, and he probably did tell her something along those lines, considering she hasn't opened a single message that I've sent. And Nobody's Baby Daddy says, I'm guessing that dude knew where the bathrooms were and is being a jerk for attention or some other reason. Makes himself look better or whatever. And OP replies, this is exactly why I think he's snooping. My best friend and her husband have been frequent guests in our home, and he has certainly used the bathroom before. I can't think of any other reason. He was in the nursery. So he knew where the nursery was too, on top of that. This guy just seems slimier and slimier the more we read. Not Never Next says, not the jerk, he was looking for you. He knew that you had gone to feed the baby. He did this deliberately. He got on the front foot with the accusations to prevent you from being able to call him out. He's a perv. I mean, that could be what his game plan was here. I hope that certainly isn't the case. But...
yeah, but I think it's very clear, the latter part, that he was doing this so he could control the narrative.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't go to your best friend and be like, hey, your husband creeped on me when I was feeding the baby.
Yeah. Speaking of skeevy men, our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for saying the old, I want to watch joke to a couple of lesbian girls last night who had been joking around with me for a good 20 minutes. I guess there's a time limit on being decent.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you were decent to them for 20 minutes. You got to cash out that check. Way to go. 20 minutes. Guy knew them so well. After 20 minutes, he knew his joke would land. Last night, we went out to our local dive bar, and it was beyond busy for some reason. I asked two girls if they minded if I set my drink down on their table while I waited for our own. They basically said, as long as you don't hit on us. And I replied with, it's pretty clear that you don't want to be hit on. And they said, finally, a straight guy who gets it. We just started joking back and forth with pretty questionable material, and I thought that they were really cool and we were having fun. At some point, I said that my birthday was next week. It really is. It's on the 11th. And they asked me what I wanted. I said, are you getting me anything? They said maybe if we become friends. So I said one of the most ancient jokes ever. I want a watch. One of the girls immediately got it and said, now you've ruined it, jerk. Get away from our table. She had to explain it to the other girl, and then she got mad and actually got up and left the bar with her friend, telling me that I'm a piece of garbage. I meant as a joke in a line with other jokes that we were saying. Am I the jerk? All right, folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
Yeah, you're the jerk here, OP. These women made it clear to you that they did not want you to sexualize them. And what did you do? You sexualized them.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you pressed the boundaries further and further in this conversation. And then finally, you decided to take your shot with this. I think that you really need to know your audience before you make a joke, right? They made it very clear what their expectations for this conversation was, and you went ahead and violated that.
And lesbian women are not interested in the male gaze a lot of times, and so often, women who are in relationships with other women get hit on by men who are constantly like, I want to watch, I want to see this. Women do not exist for your visual entertainment.
Well, and then on top of that, right, they're a couple. Mm-hmm. And what makes them think that they're even interested in something like that? And the thing is, with a lot of jokes, there's often a grain of truth in them. Mm-hmm. And that's the problem here, is that if they think that there's a grain of truth in your joke, then they're going to be disgusted by it because they explicitly told you what their expectations were.
Yeah, exactly.
So let me know what you folks think. Anyhow, take care and good luck. Saltly Kath BK says, you're the jerk. What part of don't hit on us was confusing? And OP replies, I wasn't hitting on them at all. It was just a joke. just a joke, folks. It's all cleared. It was a misunderstanding the whole time. And Addie Mermaid says, tell me how it's funny. Please explain the joke to me. And OP replies, they say, do you want a present? And I say, yes, I want a watch. They think, but he has a watch on. He doesn't need one. Oh, I get it. Lol.
Okay, but what's funny about that, OP?
And Ashwin says, I find it interesting that you haven't replied to any of the comments asking if you make this joke with a straight couple. I think that your lack of response is pretty telling that you wouldn't, which means that you know it's inappropriate. I'm a lesbian, and my girlfriend and I get occasional comments from homeless people or addicts, and not a single one of them has ever asked to watch us have adult intimate time. It's pretty low bar. If you had done this to me and my partner, I wouldn't have freaked out because I have a low bar for guys trying to crack jokes with us, but I definitely would have ended the conversation. Making a joke where the punchline is that you want to leer at us while we have adult intimate time because you think two women together is hot is not funny. It's gross and creepy. Again, if you wouldn't say it to your straight friends, you don't say it to your gay friends.
Yep.
And our next letter is titled, I was traumatized after my first birth. Now I'm pregnant again. And this one was submitted by someone who's looking for some advice. So let's see what we can give them for advice. So I got married right before the pandemic hit in my country. Long story short, my mother-in-law was working overseas before getting back home for good. Not only for her only son's marriage, but because both my hubby and her younger sister are already having decent jobs to at least help the family out a bit. To give a bit on the story, my mother-in-law worked overseas as a helper for more than 10 years to help the family with some financial problems. She kept on asking me if it was okay with her family's condition, and I just simply said that my family never thinks about that kind of stuff. It's not like their family is trying to squeeze money out of me. Anyways, everything is good, but then a problem arises, which at first I had no suspicion on, or maybe I'm just overreacting. My husband and I are in the same city before we got married, and we decided to rent a place while looking for the house to settle in. So yeah, we had already moved some stuff in there. Once we got home from the honeymoon, my mother-in-law suddenly burst into tears, saying to my husband, I looked at your room and you brought everything, clothes and stuff for living. It's basically empty. I was wondering if you don't want to live with me anymore. My husband cried as well, of course. I got like, excuse me, I'm always the one who tells my family, parents and siblings my plans, what I'm going to do or where I'm going. So I didn't understand. Then I realized that my husband hadn't told his family, especially mother-in-law, that we went on a 3 or 4 day honeymoon and directly brought the stuff that we needed for our place for efficiency and time savings. We still got back to our parents' places once a week or so since we still haven't gotten a house yet. But at the time, I just got flustered and thought mother-in-law didn't want to separate with her son. Anyways, I just let it go and thought about this as a misunderstanding. The next 9 months, my son was born prematurely. He's the first grandkid for both of our families. The night after I gave birth, my husband was supposed to stay at the hospital with me, but he didn't know that the unit would be locked after 9. So my mother-in-law, who was there, simply stayed with me. Here, the second problem happened. My son was born in the morning and still hadn't gotten any breast milk because I hadn't been able to produce yet. The doctor said that it was okay to give him formula if it didn't come after 6 hours. My baby was crying in the middle of the night, but my mother-in-law didn't give him to me because she said you should and take a rest. I did nothing. I want to hold my baby, but she didn't let me do it. I texted my husband and said that it's my son, so please just give it to me. It's really traumatic for me. It happened again when my baby's first checkup happened. He got an infection for the diapers that we put on him wrongly. My mother-in-law were the ones who taught us how to do that because she helped the midwife near our house. It's the second time, and every time my baby was crying, she will always try to take the baby without even asking me if I needed help or not. I don't mind if parents or in-laws want to help, but if I don't want you to, please don't keep asking me and stop being so persistent in taking my baby. I just got so frustrated and haunted me for almost 2 years after my son's birth. I finally could let it go, as always, and tried to understand, as my son is the first grandkid for everyone. But yeah, the trauma makes me being overprotective and always say no to those who want to help unless I reach out first. Now that I thought that I'm able to make peace with everyone, including myself, I got pregnant with my second, and the trauma is back. It's lingering as my mother-in-law and her parents, who still live together with her, keep on asking my son to stay with them. I just can't understand why these people keep wanting to separate me from my kid. Am I overreacting? I keep on blaming my trauma, but it was really horrible to not be able to hold my baby and consistently reminded that people can easily take my baby anytime. And in additional information, when I knew that I was pregnant, I resigned from my job because it was the big pandemic here, but I found a job remotely that I still do part-time so I can be with my son at home. My husband was working from home as well until last January. So both my husband and son were here basically 24/7 with me. All right, folks, what do you think? What advice do we have for the OP here?
OP, I'm not sure what therapy services there are available where you are, but I think the first thing, if you're able to, is to work with a trauma therapist.
Yeah.
They will know how to help you process the trauma you've been through, and they will also be able to help you set effective boundaries with your mother-in-law. It definitely sounds like your mother-in-law is not respecting your wishes, not respecting your boundaries, and that is a totally valid and reasonable thing to be upset about.
Yeah.
And I also think it's important to sit down with your husband and make sure to get him on board, because you need him on your team. You need him to be the one talking to his mother.
Yeah.
Like, his mother is his problem to deal with, not yours, but currently he's making her your problem.
Yeah, and to kind of add on to what Amber's saying here, I would sit down in couples therapy and talk with your husband and start to work out better strategies for communication, and then maybe, if the therapist recommends it, bring the mother-in-law into the therapy session so that you can have a third party mediate that discussion about why this is so traumatic for you to have your son taken away from you. And I'm really sorry that you have trauma here. This is a really frustrating situation for you, it sounds like. And I think that it's just one of those things where you have to kind of take it one day at a time. Take care of yourself. Do things that allow you to express yourself and can help you to work through your feelings. Take care of your mental health. Do hobbies and exercise and all those kinds of things, because those are going to go a long way towards helping you, keeping you grounded and making sure that you're feeling like you have control over a situation. So let me know what you folks think. Anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber, she's got a joke.
What did the Grateful Grapes say?
What did the Grateful Grapes say? I can tell you exactly what the Grateful Grapes said. They said, "We're wrathful, and that's why we're grateful." And then they started committing atrocities with Bernard the Unhinged. It was horrifying.
Those are not the grapes I'm talking about. These ones just said, "Thanks a bunch."
Thanks a bunch? They were also very sour. They were sour, grateful grapes. They were grateful for their mascot, Bernard the Unhinged.
Yeah, not my grapes.
Yeah, your grapes too.
No.
It's all grapes. They're all part of a giant conspiracy to overthrow humanity. It's pretty terrible. All that wine, they're planning ahead. 4D chess. And I have Mega Mint. Alright, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Monday. It's Monday, Amber. Did you know that?
I mean, technically it's Sunday for us, but yeah.
Don't ruin the illusion, Amber. Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance, and please have it in the form of something to say to a terrible guest.
The bathroom is that way, but you already know it. Now get out.
I like it. Thanks so much for watching, and we will see you all tomorrow.
Bye.
Howdy, folks. I'm a gargantuan green grapevine grasping Grecian... Howdy, folks. I'm a gargantuan green grapevine grasping Grecian Greece.
I'm Amber.
Geese. Grecian geese. Howdy, folks. I'm a gargantuan green grapevine grasping Grecian Grease.
Apparently, I made a
Grease.
real tongue twister today.